ॐ शुक्लाम्बरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये। ॐ सहना भवतु, सहनौ भुनक्तु, सह वीर्यं करवावहै, तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्तः शान्तः शान्तिः। अगजाननपद्मार्कं गजाननमहर्निशम् अनेकदन्तं भक्तानाम् एकदन्तमुपास्महे। श्रीमहागणपतये नमः। गुरवे सर्वलोकानां विषजे भवरोगिणां निधये सर्वविद्यानां श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। अस्मद्गुरुचरणारविन्दाभ्यां नमः। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। ज्ञानानन्दमयं देवं निर्मलस्फटिकाकृतिम् आधारं सर्वविद्यानां श्रीहयग्रीवमुपास्महे। श्रीहयग्रीवमूर्तये नमः। सरस्वति नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणि विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा। श्रीमहासरस्वत्यै नमः। उमाकोमलहस्ताब्जसम्भावितललाटकं हिरण्यकुण्डलं वन्दे कुमारं पुष्करस्रजं। வெற்றிவேல் முருகனுக்கு ஹரஹரோஹரா. லோகவீரியம் மகாபூஜ்யம் சர்வரக்ஷாகரம் விபும் பார்வதி ஹிருதயானந்தம் சாஸ்தாரம் பிரணமாம்யகம். சுவாமியே சரணமையப்பா. வாகர்த்தாவிவ சம்பிருக்தௌ வாகர்த்த பிரதிபத்தயே ஜகதः பிதரௌ வந்தே பார்வதி பரமேஸ்வரௌ. ஸ்ரீ பார்வதி பரமேஸ்வராभ्यां நமः. कोमलं पूजयन् वेणुं श्यामलोऽयं कुमारकः वेदवेद्यं परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। अस्मद्गुरुचरणारविन्दाभ्यां नमः। श्रीकृष्ण गोविन्द हरे मुरारे श्रीनाथ नारायण वासुदेव। श्रीकृष्ण गोविन्द हरे मुरारे श्रीनाथ नारायण वासुदेव। श्रीकृष्ण गोविन्द हरे मुरारे श्रीनाथ नारायण वासुदेव। पीताम्बरं करविराजितचक्रशङ्खकौमोदकी सरसिजं करुणासमुद्रं राधासहायम् अतिसुन्दरमन्दहासं वातालयेशम् अनिशं हृदि भावयामि। कृष्णो रक्षतु मां चराचरगुरुः कृष्णं नमस्ये सदा। कृष्णेनैव सुरक्षितोऽहमसकृत् कृष्णाय दत्तं मनः। कृष्णादेव समुद्भवो मम विभो कृष्णस्य दासोऽस्म्यहं। कृष्णे भक्तिरचञ्चलास्तु भगवन्। हे कृष्ण तुभ्यं नमः। श्रीगुरुवायूरप्पा शरणं नम्राणां सन्निधत्ते सततमपि पुरस्तैरणभ्यर्थितानपि आर्तान् कामानजस्रं वितरति परमानन्दसान्द्रां गतिं च। इत्थं निःशेषलभ्यो निरवधिकफलः पारिजातो हरे त्वं क्षुद्रं तं चक्रवाटी द्रुममभिलषति व्यर्थमर्त्यव्रजोऽयं। श्रीगुरुवायूरप्पा शरणं श्रीभट्टपादम् अनिशं हृदि भावयामि। वंशी विभूषितकरात् नवनीरदाभात् पीताम्बरात् अरुणबिम्बफलादरोष्टात् पूर्णेन्दुसुन्दरमुखात् अरविन्दनेत्रात् कृष्णात् परं किमपि तत्त्वमहं न जाने. കൈരണ്ടും കൂപ്പി ഞാൻ വീണ്ടുമീറക്കുന്നു നീരജലോചന നിന്നോടായി. ഏതേനു മഞ്ഞനെ കുമ്പിടേണ്ടാത്തോരു രീതിയിൽ നീ എന്നെ പാലിക്കന്നായി. കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ ജയ കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ ജയ കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ ജയ കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ. Good morning, everyone. Okay, so I think we will see. Okay, verse 6. We'll maybe do a review of 49, maybe 50 we can do next time. Priya, can you do 49 review?
Yeah. भवत्प्रभावावितौरभीकोपः तरुप्रभादिमक्त्रकोष्ठे अहेतुमुक्पादकनं विशङ्क्य प्रयातुमन्यत्र मनो वितेनुः तत्रोपनन्दापितकोपवर्योजकौ पगत्प्रो नैव नूनम् प्रतीक्ष्यां विपिनं मनोज्ञं प्रदावनं नाम विराजतीनि
Vrindavan. And the last Vrindavan.
பிருந்தாவனம் நாம விராஜதீதி.
And the first line வந்து கோப வரியோ அதுக்கப்புறம் பாஸ். ஓகே, இந்த ஃபர்ஸ்ட் லைன்.
கோபவரி. ஓகே. பர்ஹத்வனம் தத்கலு நந்த முக்த்யாஹ விதாய கௌஷ்டீன மத ஷனோன த்வதன்வித த்வஜ்ஜ நனி நிவிஷ்ட கரேஷ்ட யானானுகதா விஷேலுஹு.
Line, last word kshanena. First line, last word gaushti namata kshanena.
First edu?
First, do you have two lines or four?
Vidaya
Gaushti namata kshanena.
Kshanena. Okay. Anu manojnana tvani tenupali purapranam tantara to vidubihi. Vidubihi. Vadubihi. Bhavan vinotala pishaksharani prabhiyanagnayata margadairyam tirishya prantavana brindavana misha tandat prasunamukta pramukha trimaukam amodaptaha satvala shantra lakshmaya haritmani kutim pushta shobam.
The second line, first word amodataha, you can put a ish sound. Amodatash shadvala.
Ish amodatash shadvala. Yeah. Navakanishtyuta vinasa peshestu ashosha gopeshu sukashiteshu vanasriyam kopakirora bali vimishtritaha prayakalokatastam arola.
Second line middle word gopa kishora. That word is kishora. Gopa kishora pali.
Okay, gopa kishora bali. Arala margata nirmalabham marala gujat krita narmalabham nirantarasme smare sharojavaktaram kavita kanyam samaloka kayastvam.
Last word kalinda kanyam.
Kalinda kanyam samaloka kayastvam. Mayura kosha kesha Shatalopaniyam Mayukamala Shapalam Maninam Virinchalokas Parush Muksh Shinga Kairhi Kirincha Govardhana Maishatastvam Samam tato kopa kumarakaistvam samastaito yatra vadanta makhaha tastam kutilam pashyaha kalinkajam ragavati mivaikyam tada
Ivaikam.
Divaikam. Dimaikyam.
And the last word, sorry. Ragavatim, im break.
Hmm. Oh,
Ragavatim, Ivaikam.
Ivaikam. Ragavati Ivaikyam.
Eh,
Kyama
Yeah,
Kama.
yeah, so you're saying Kyam, it is Kam. Ragavatim,
Ivaikam.
Ivaikam.
Ivaikam. Okay. Tata vitoshmita विपिने पवस्ये समुच्चुके सत्स कनप्रसारे शांसारमोषत कुमारकैस्त्वं समीरकेशानित्तित समीरकेशा
Hadipa.
केहातिप पहिरोकान् रोकात्
The first line after the comma and the word is Samutsukho. I think you said a K minute. Samutsukho Vatsagana.
ஓ இந்த புக்ல கே தான் போட்டு
Okay, just change it to Ko.
கோவா
Samutsukho
ஓ
Vatsagana Prachare.
ஓகே
Right, let's just continue with 51. Today I was going to do 51 and 52, but maybe I'll defer 52 for next class because that's a very beautiful one, and I don't want to break that the Shakam if we cannot complete it today. So, all right, Anu, you can be a student, and Deepa, you can be a student. So 51 is Aghasura Vadha Varnanam. कदाचन व्रजशिशुभिः समं भवान् वनाशने विहितमतिः प्रघेतराम् समावृतो बहुतरवत्समण्डलैः सतेमनैर्निरगमदीशजेमनैः. So we saw in the last class, how they all migrated to Vrindavan, right? And then they settled down there in Vrindavan. And then we saw how Vatsasura and Bhakasura. Vatsasura, who's in the form of a Vatsa, in the form of a calf, and Bhakasura, who came in the form of a crane. Now, sometime in the future. Now, Krishna, this is exactly, see, certain things we know exactly how old Krishna was because there are references to the age specifically. So, this incident of Aghasura is happening when Krishna is about 5 years old. Okay, because the next incident is going to happen when he's 6. So he's 5 years old right now, and one day they all decided to go and have picnic. They have to go grazing anyways, but they all decided to have like a big picnic in the forest. So with that, they all have to pack all their food. So they got up early in the morning, packed all their necessary stuff, and then they packed a lot of it says cooked rice. So Jmanihi he refers to cooked rice. So that's why we normally pause after this dashakam for the break. So Navy for this is cooked rice. You can put curd rice because he's going to eat curd rice in this dashakam. So the curd rice they take a lot of cooked rice because it doesn't get spoiled, right? So because they're going to be there for a really long time. So they take all this and they pack all their stuff and they talk specifically about some things, and you'll see some of the stuff repeating. They talked about how he carries the horn, like we spoke about, and the murali that is always there, the stick. So the standard things. So they pack everything early morning. They get up. They decide to go for a long picnic that day. Kadachana Braja Shishubhihi. Braja Shishubhihi means the boys along with the calves they go. Braja Shishubhihi put a is Shishubhis Samam Bhavan, comma Vanashane Bihita Matihi put a F Matif Pragetaram Samavrito Bahutara Vatsa Mandalaihi, comma Sate Manair Niragamadisha Jemanaihi. कदाचन व्रजशिशुभिः समं भवान् वनाशने विहितमतिः प्रघेतराम् समावृतो बहुचरवत्समण्डलैः सते मनैर्निरगमदीशजेमनैः.
कदाचन व्रजशिशुभिः समं भवान् वनाशने विहितमदिः प्रकेतराम् समावृतो बहुतरवत्समण्डलैः सदेमनैर्निरकमदीशजेमनैः. कदाचन व्रजशिशुभिः समं भवान् वनाशने विहितमदिः प्रकेतराम् समावृतो बहुतरवत्समण्डलैः सदेमनैर्निरकमदीशजेमनैः.
कदाचन व्रजशिशुभिः समं भवान् वनाशने विहितमतिः प्रगेतराम् समावृतो बहुतरवत्समण्डलैः सते मनैर्निरगमदीशजेमनैः कदाचन व्रजशिशुभिः समं भवान् वनाशने विहितमतिः प्रगेतराम् समावृतो बहुतरवत्समण्डलैः सते मनैर्निरगमदीशजेमनैः
That's true. विनिर्यतस्तव चरणाम्बुजद्वयात् उदञ्चितं त्रिभुवनपावनं रजः महर्षयः पुलकदरैः कलेबरैः उदूहिरे धृतभवदीक्षणोत्सवाः. So Tava Charana Ambuja Dvayat. So with your two lotus-like feet, Krishna, when you start walking on to that forest, when you walk, because Vrindavan has got a lot of mud. So when you're walking, it is kicking off a lot of dust, which is actually coming there. And the Gopa boys and the calves, so they are all, the dust is all falling on their body. So all these sages, they are saying these Gopa boys and the calves are so blessed because the dust which is coming from the feet of Lord Krishna is actually falling on the Gopa boys and the cows. So and then that dust of which is coming out of your feet is so pure. So even the rishis, they all descend down, to Vrindavan because of that reason, like we discussed last time when Krishna moved to Vrindavan, right? So they all descend down to Vrindavan because that's where one can get the dust coming out of your feet. So and that gives them horripilation. Pulakadarehi. Binirgyatas charanampuja dvayat. Put a it at the end of that line, comma. Next line, the du becomes a u. Udanchitam tribhuvana pavanam rajah. Maharshayah, put a f to join. Maharshayah pulakadharaihi, put a h. Pulakadharaih kalebaraihi. So add a visarga there. Visarga, comma, kalebaraihi. Next line, the rudu hire becomes udu hire. Udu hire dhrita bhavadikshanotsavaha. That's one word. Binir yatastava charanam bujadvayate udanchitam tribhuvana pavanam rajah maharshayah pulakadaraih kalebaraihi udu hire dhrita bhavadikshanotsavaha.
विनिर्यदस्तव चरणाम्बुजद्वयात् उदञ्चितं त्रिभुवनपावनं रजः महर्षयः पुलकतरैः कलेबरैः उदूहिरे त्रिदभवतीक्षणोत्स्वाः विनिर्यदस्तव चरणाम्बुजद्वयात् उदञ्चितं त्रिभुवनपावनं रजः महर्षयः पुलकतरैः कलेबरैः उदूहिरे त्रिदभवदीक्षणोत्सवाः.
Word is utsava. It's an occasion. So bhavadikshanotsavaha.
भवदीक्षणोत्सवाः.
विनिर्यतस्तव चरणाम्बुजद्वयात् उदञ्चितं त्रिभुवनपावनं रजः महर्षयः पुलकधरैः कलेबरैः उदूहिरे धृतभवदीक्षणोत्सवाः विनिर्यतस्तव चरणाम्बुजद्वयात् उदञ्चितं त्रिभुवनपावनं रजः महर्षयः पुलकधरैः कलेबरैः उदूहिरे धृतभवदीक्षणोत्सवाः.
That's a three. प्रचारयत्यविरलशाद्वले तले पशून् विभो भवति समं कुमारकैः अघासुरो न्यरुणदघाय वर्तनी भयानकः सपदि शयानकाकृतिः. So they go grazing and then, they finally reach the forest. So one of this person, like in the last Dashakam, I think there was a stanza there. Yeah, in stanza 9, it said, stanza 9, Sapadi Sahajam Sandrashtum va Mritam Kaluputanam Anujam Agamapyagre. Agama api agre. So that when the Bakasura, when he was dying, it said he's gone to meet his sister Putana and to receive his brother Aghasura. So that Aghasura is another demon who is now come in the who is the brothers of Putana and Bakasura. And when he is now wants to take revenge because he knows that there is nobody knows this is the eighth son of Devan, Vasudeva, Devaki and Vasudeva, but they know this person somehow Putana came to this village and this person is there. This person Bakasura also died because at the hands of this boy. So Aghasura is destined to get rid of not just Krishna but to get rid of all the boys because he feels that if all these boys and the calves everybody dies, then the people of Vrindavan will also eventually give up their lives because all their children are dead. Right, so he then decided to get rid of all of these people of Vrindavan. So for that, he came in the form of a large python who's actually there. So in fact, I just very simply, if you just Google Aghasura, there's a very beautiful picture, in the ISKCON website. So when I'm describing it in the next stanza, you can relate to it, as to how the size of Aghasura is. But anyway, so they see this Aghasura who's blocking the way right now and is there. Pracharayatya virala, one word. Pracharayatya virala shadvale tale, comma. Pashun vibho bhavati samam kumarakaihi. Aghasuro nyarunadagaya vartani, comma. Bhayanakaha, put is bhayanakas sapadi shayanakakritihi. Bhayanak, very fearful python. He takes the form of a fearful python. प्रचारयत्य विरलशाद्वले तले पशून् विभो भवति समं कुमारकैः अघासुरो न्यरुणदघाय वर्तनि भयानकः सपदि शयानकाकृतिः.
प्रचारयत्य विरलशात्वले तले पशून् विभो भवति समं कुमारकैः अगासुरोऽन्यरुणतकाय वर्तनि भयानकः सपत्ति शयानकाकृतिः. प्रचारयत्य विरलशात्वले तले पशून् विभो भवति समं कुमारकैः अगासुरोऽन्यरुणतकाय वर्तनि भयानकः सपति शयानकाकृतिः.
प्रचारयत्य विरलशाध्वले तले पशून विभो भवति समं कुमारकैः अघासुरो न्यरुणददाय वर्तनीं भयानकः सपदि शयानकाकृतिः. प्रचारयत्य विरलशाध्वले तले पशून विभो भवति समं कुमारकैः अघासुरो न्यरुणददाय वर्तनीं भयानकः सपदि शयानकाकृतिः.
महाचल प्रतिमतनोर्गुहानिभ प्रसारित प्रतित मुखस्य कानने मुखोदरं विहरन कौतुकाद्गताः कुमारकाः किमपि विदूरगे त्वयि. So this Aghasura, he's coming in the form of a large python, right? So on the python, they say is so big, it's really massive in size. And he's now opened his mouth, and I'll just show you this picture. I was trying to paste it, but I was not able to paste it. So I think I don't know why I'm not able to paste something in here. But anyway, so I found this picture with that, which I thought would give you a context. Let me know if you can see this picture of Aghasura that is there in the ISKCON website. I hope you're seeing the right window. So it talked about how his mouth is so wide open and he's so massive in size that people cannot tell it is a real snake, right? And these boys, they're all 5-year-old boys, 6-year-old boys, right? So they all think this is some new attraction or new something which is in Vrindavan, which is like a snake. Okay, because from a distance it might look like a snake, and his mouth is open really wide, and it looks like a big mountain with a big cave. And his tongue is rolled out, or his bottom is rolled out, so it looks like a carpet. It looks like a pathway that somebody can actually get into a cave. And they all think it is an attraction that it is because the mouth is wide open and it is dark inside, so it absolutely looks like a cave. Anyway, I'll stop this. So it really looks like a cave. So all these boys think, this is some new thing which is actually there, and they all decide to then go enter into Aghasura's mouth, thinking, let's actually go explore what is actually happening, right? So initially the boys end up going with the calves, and Krishna is actually standing outside like it showed in the picture. And then, before he could stop, they all had started already going into the mouth of Aghasura. So Mahachala Pratima Tanur Guha Nibha, put a plus, Prasarita Pratita Mukasya Kanane. So those two lines are together. Mukhodaram Viharana Kautukat Gataha, comma, Kumarakaha, put a Kumarakah Kimapi Vidurage Toyi. महाचल प्रतिमतनुर्गुहानिभ प्रसारित प्रतित मुखस्य कानने मुखोदरं विहरन कौतुकाद्गताः कुमारकाः किमपि विदूरगे त्वयि.
महाचल प्रतिमतनोर्गुहानिभ प्रसारित प्रदित मुखस्य कानने मुखोदरं विहरन कौतुकाद्गताः कुमारकाः किमपि विदूरके त्वयि. महाचल प्रतिमदनोर्गुहानिभ प्रसारित प्रदित मुखस्य गानने मुखोदरं विहरन कौतुकात् कथाः कुमारकाः किमपि विदूरके त्वयि.
महाचल प्रतिमतनोर्गुहानिभ प्रसारित प्रतितमुखस्य कानने मुखोदरं विहरण कौतुकाद्गताः कुमारकाः किमपि विदूरगे त्वयि. महाचल प्रतिमतनोर्गुहानिभ प्रसारित प्रतितमुखस्य कानने मुखोदरं विहरण कौतुकात् गताः कुमारकाः किमपि विदूरगे त्वयि.
अमादतः प्रविशति पन्नगोधरम् क्व तत्तनौ पशुपकुले सवात्सखे विदन्निधं त्वमपि विवेशित प्रभो सुहृज्जनं विशरणमाशु रक्षितुम्. So as these boys and this calf started entering into the mouth of Aghasura, he was patiently waiting because his main target has not yet entered. So he's waiting for everybody to enter, and finally Krishna also is going to enter. So now Krishna knows that all these boys and these calves, they have so much trust in Krishna that they know nothing is going to happen when Krishna is around. So they put so much faith and trust with him that they don't care where they are going. They know Krishna will somehow bail them out, right? So anyway, so as they all start entering into the mouth of Aghasura, they are beginning to feel the heat which is actually coming from his mouth, and all the poison and the heat is beginning to come. So now Krishna says, okay, I have to rescue all these boys. At the same time, I also have to get rid of Aghasura. Now, in this thing, I forgot to say in the first stanza that Balarama does it. There are two times when Balarama doesn't accompany Krishna. So this is one time, because Balarama is an Adishesha incarnation. So anytime Krishna is dealing with a snake, Balarama is generally not present there. So this time he doesn't come. He doesn't come in 54 and 54 also when the Kaliya snake comes. So anyway, so Krishna then finally decides to enter into the mouth of Aghasura. Once all the boys are in, so he knows everybody is safe, he can go protect them inside. Pramadataha, put a F, Pramadataha, Pravishati Pannagodaram, Kwatat Tanau, Pashupakule Savatsake, Bidannidam Twamapi Viveshita Prabho, Suhrij Janam Bisharanamashu Rakshitum. Pramadata Pravishati Pannagodharam Kwatattanau Pashupakule Savatsake Bidannidam Twamapi Viveshita Prabho Suhrij Janam Bisharanamashu Rakshitum.
प्रमादतः प्रविशति पन्नकोदरं त्वदत्तनौ पशुपकुले सवात्सके विदन्नितं त्वमपि विवेशित प्रभो सुहृज्जनं विशरणमाशु रक्षितुम्. प्रमादतः प्रविशति पन्नकोदरं त्वदत्तनौ पशुपकुले सवात्सके विदन्नितं त्वमपि विवेशित प्रभो सुहृच्चनं विशरणमाशु रक्षितुम्
प्रमादतः प्रविशति पन्नगोदरं क्व तत्तनौ पशुपकुले सवात्सके विदत्निदं त्वमपि विवेशितप्रभो सुहृजनं विशरणमाशु रक्षितुम् प्रमादतः प्रविशति पन्नगोदरं क्व तत्तनौ पशुपकुले सवात्सके विदर्निधं त्वमपि विवेशितप्रभो सुहृजनं विशरणमाशु रक्षितुम्.
It's a 6. गलोदरे विपुलितवर्ष्मणा त्वया महोरगे लुटति निरुद्धमारुते द्रुतं भवान् विदलितकण्ठमण्डलो विमोचयन् पशून् विनिर्ययौ. So now Krishna also enters into Aghasura's mouth, and all these boys are there. They're all getting, all the heat coming from the snakes, fumes and the poison. So now Krishna, what he does is he starts expanding his body. So when he starts expanding his body, Aghasura also has to expand. So if you think of how the snake's mouth is, it is kind of like this, right? So it is it's connected or the throat is small, and then the mouth opens really wide. So Krishna stands at the place where the throat is, and then he starts expanding himself. So when he starts expanding himself, even Aghasura has to expand himself. Otherwise, he's going to get choked. So he does it up to a particular point which he's not able to expand himself, right? And when that point happens, there's no pranavayu is not able to go. It is getting stuck. So with that, what happens is finally, because the pranavayu cannot escape from his mouth, he's from the top of Aghasura's head. The pranavayu actually goes about. So he says Vimochayan. He says, oh Mukunda. So Mukunda, Krishna is called Mukunda because Muktim Dadati iti Mukunda. The one who gives liberation is Mukunda. So because this way Aghasura is getting liberated, because like we saw in Dasakam 4, when the soul goes on the top of your head, the Brahma Randra, you get liberated, right? That's direct connection to getting liberated. That's what happens to Aghasura. So his soul exits from the top of his head because Krishna is blocked this thing, and that way, so Aghasura dies, but the essence is getting liberated. And with that, the boys then begin to come out. Galodhare Vipulita Varshmana Tvaya, Mahorage Lutati Niruddha Marute Drutam Bhavan Vidalita Kantha Mandalo, Vimochayan Pashun Viniryayo. Galodhare Vipulita Varshmana Tvaya Mahorage Lutati Niruddha Marute Drutam Bhavan Vidalita Kantha Mandalo Vimochayan Pashun Viniryayo.
Kalodare Vipul
Good.
कलोदरे विपुलितवश्मना त्वया महोरके लुडति निरुत्तमारुते त्रिदं भवान् विदलितकण्ठमण्डलो विमोचयन् पशून् विनिर्ययौ. कलोदरे विपुलितवश्मना त्वया महोरके लुडति निरुत्तमारुते त्रिदं भवान् विदलितकण्ठमण्डलो विमोचयन् पशून् विनिर्ययौ.
No, third line, first word, Dhru sound, Dhrutam Bhavan.
Dhrutam.
Yeah.
Dhrutam.
Yeah, U sound, yeah.
गलोदरे विपुलितवर्ष्मना त्वया महोरगे लुटति निरुद्धमारुते द्रुतं भवान् विदलितकण्ठमण्डलो विमोचयन् पशून् विनिर्ययौ. गलोदरे विपुलितवर्ष्मना त्वया महोरगे लुटति निरुद्धमारुते द्रुतं भवान् विदलितकण्ठमण्डलो विमोचयन् पशून् विनिर्ययौ.
7. Chanam Deve Tvadupagamārtamastitam Mahāsuraprabhava Maho Mahate Vinirgate Tvayitu Nilina Manjasa Nabhastale Nanuturuto Jagusuraha. So when this happens, the boys, they notice something, right? They notice that the boys are coming out first from Aghasura's mouth. They notice that there's a light which is actually shining above Aghasura. And then finally, when Krishna comes, the light actually comes and merges into Krishna. So even these gods notice that, the demigods notice, saying that how blessed Aghasura is, right? So because even though he's an Asura, he's done some lot of good karma or whatever thing he has done, that he's getting liberated there. And this way, Aghasura, he's getting liberated, and finally he also merges into Krishna, and the gods then praise Krishna because Aghasura was a very terrible Asura. So they were all happy that Aghasura is also gotten rid of. Shanam Divi Twadupagamartam. So I'm just breaking at that ma there. Twadupagamartam astitam, comma. Mahasura Prabhavamaho Maho Mahat Binirgate Twaitu Nilinam Anjasa, comma. Nabha put is Nabhastale Nandru Turato. So the ndr sound, tu sound. Nandru Turato Jaguhu put is Jagus Suraha. Shanam Deve Twadupagamartamastitam Mahasura Prabhava Maho Mahate Binirgate Twayitu Nili Namanjasa Nabhastale Nandruturato Jagussuraha.
Shanam divi tvadubhagamattamastitam mahasura prabhavamoho mahate vinirkade tvaitu nilina manchasa nabhastale nandru durato jagussuraha. Kshanam divi tvadubhagamattamastitam mahasura prabhavamoho mahate vinirkade tvaitu nilina manchasa Nabastale Nandruturato Jagussuraha.
Rajesh, I have a question. Rajesh.
Yeah, Kuchilunga.
அந்த நிலீனம் மஞ்சசா வந்து நிலீனம் அஞ்சசாவா இல்லை வந்து இட்ஸ் இங்க வந்து நிலீன மஞ்சசா 2 வேர்ட்ஸா போட்டிருக்கு.
Nilinam. If you want to break it, it is Nilinam Anjasa.
Okay, but it is nilinam, right? So because there is a space between na and ma.
Yeah. It is Nilinam Anjasa.
Nilinam Anjasa. Okay, thank you.
क्षणं दिवि त्वदुपगमार्थमास्थितं महासुरप्रभवमहो महो महत् विनिर्गते त्वयि तु निलीनमञ्जसा नभस्तले तुरतो जगुत्सुराः क्षणं दिवि त्वदुपमगमार्थमास्थितं महासुरप्रभवमहो महत् विनिर्गते त्वयि तु निलीनमञ्जसा नभस्तले ननुर्तुरतो जगुस्सुराः.
Last the Nandru Turato.
ननुर्तुरतो ननुर्तुरतो.
So you can just it's easy to say it slowly. You can just say it slowly also. Nandru Turato.
Nanurturato Jagussuraha.
That's right. Savismaye Kamala Bhavadi Bhisuraihi Anudrutastadanu Gatah Kumarakaihi Dine Punastaruna Dashamupi Yushi Swakair Bhavan Atanuta Bhojanotsavam. So all these demigods were extremely happy that Aghasura has been gotten rid of because he was a very powerful Asura. But they saw how very easily Krishna got rid of him. He didn't have to do anything fancy. Just instantly Aghasura was gotten rid of. So when Brahma hears this, when Brahma hears that Aghasura has been gotten rid of, and Krishna so casually just comes and walks into the mouth and gets rid of Aghasura, so he's now coming and noticing what is actually happening in Vrindavan. And he notices that Aghasura has been gotten rid of, and everybody's telling, oh, what a great leela this boy has done, Krishna has done of getting rid of Aghasura. So that story is going to continue into 51. That's the context of Brahma coming here. So, Brahma comes and he notices this. Now you, O Krishna, in the meantime, Aghasura is gotten rid of. So you then decide time now because the sun has reached its peak. The sun has reached its youth, as Bhattaripad says here. So when it's midday, you all decide to go have your Bhojanotsavam. You decide to have your picnic because everybody has gotten a lot of cooked food, right? So they all decide to sit down and eat. Savismayaihi. They're all vismay, they're all savismay, they're all astonished. So put a ih or h to join. Savismayaih kamala bhavadibihi. Put a is to join. Kamala bhavadibhis suraihi. Add a visargan comma. Next line, the ra becomes a. Anudrutas tadanu gataha. Put a ich again. Gatah kumarakaihi. Dine punas taruna dasham upeyushi, comma. Swakair bhavan, you can break at that na easier. Swakair bhavan atanuta bhojanotsavam. Savismayai kamala bhavadibhis suraihi anudrutastadanu gatah kumarakaihi dine punastaruna dashamupeyushi swakair bhavan atanuta bhojanotsavam.
Savismayai kamala bhavadibhis suraihi anudrutastadanu kumarakaihi Dine punastaruna dashamubeyushi swagair bhavan adanuta bhojanotsavam savismayai kamala bhavadi bisuraihi anudrudastadanu kumarakaihi Dine punastaruna dashamubeyushi swagair bhavan adanuta bhojanotsavam
सविस्मयै कमलभवादिभिः सुरैः अनुद्धृतस्तदनुगतः कुमारकैः दिने पुनस्तरुणदशामुपेयुषि स्वकैर्भवानतनुतभोजनोत्सवम्.
Last line, swakair. Just a ir, no, not a ra sound there.
Okay, स्वकैर्.
Yeah.
स्वकैर्भवानतनुतभोजनोत्सवम् सविस्मयै सुरैः अनुद्धृतस्तदनुगतः कुमारकैः दिने पुनस्तरुणदशामुपेयुषि स्वकैर्भवानतनुतभोजनोत्सवम्.
Right? Vishanikamapि muralim nitambake niveshayan kabaladharah karambuje prahasayan kalavachanai kumarakan bhubojitattridashaganeir mudhanutah. So Krishna then you all of you decide to sit down and eat. So when you're sitting down on the river bank, on the banks of Yamuna there, you then take your murali, you take your flute, you take your horn, you take your stick, you tug it all into your waist, into the waistband, and then you all sit down. And what you decide to then you decide to eat kabala dhara. Kabala dhara refers to curd rice. So balls of curd rice that you are holding in your hand. So I think for those of you who came to Dushyant Sridhar's Ramayana, Secrets of Ramayana last year, he said Rama ate curd rice. Even Krishna also ate curd rice. There's references of that, right? Anyway, so he's having ball of curd rice in his hand, and then he's sitting there with all his friends, and then they're all like, they all laughed. They're all like making jokes at each other, and then they all are having fun, and they're all having their lunch here. Bishani kamapi muralim, long e, nitambake, put a plus, niveshayan, kabaladharaha, put a ih, kabaladharah, karambuje. So those two lines together. Prahasayan, kalavachanaihi, put a ih, kalavachanaih, kumarakan, comma, bhubojita, tridashaganair, muda nutaha. So all these gods are watching this happening. And then there's a beautiful 10th stanza. We just repeat one time, Hanu, in the 9 and 10. Vishanikamapि muralim nitambake niveshayan kabaladharah karambuje prahasayan kalavachanaih kumarakan bhubojitattridashaganair mudanutah.
Vishanikam abhimuralim nidambake niveshayan kabalattarah karambuje prahasayan kalavachanai kumarakan bubojita tridashakanair mudanutah.
विशानिकामपि मुरलीं नितम्बके निवेशयन् कबलधरः कराम्बुजे प्रहासयन् कलवचनैः कुमारकान् बुभोजितत्रिदश गणैर्मुदा नुतः
Certain. सुखाशनं त्विहतव गोपमण्डले मखाशनात् प्रियमिव देवमण्डले इति स्तुतस्त्रिदशवरैर्जगत्पते मरुत्पुरी निलय गदात् प्रपाहि माम्. So all these demigods, like for those of you who know Vishnu Sahasranamam, there is one nice stanza there, which is Yajna Brit, Yajna Krit, Yajni, Yajna Bhuk, Yajna Sadhanaha. He says, so Krishna, you are the Yajna Bhuk. You are the one who gets or receives whatever is put into the yajna. So all these rishis, when they do the yajna, whatever offerings you are actually putting in there, that all goes to you, O Narayana. So you are the consumer of all of that. Even in the Daksha Yagam, when Daksha is doing, all the final offerings all go to Narayana, because Narayana comes there to receive all of those. So he says, for a person who is like that, who receives the highest of whatever everybody is putting in yajna, the gods are seeing you are now sitting as a small boy, right, and enjoying that happy meal, sukhashanam. You're having that happy meal with all of your friends. He says you prefer that, right? You prefer sitting with these gopa boys who have no knowledge of anything, but then they are in absolute love with you, right? So what they are trying to say here is that even if you do not do all these great austerities and rituals and everything and offer the greatest of food, more than that, offering even the basic sharing of food, right? That Krishna is sharing the food from his friends. So that is more important to him, because that is with more love and with more devotion than what even the demigods can actually offer in a yajna. So with this, the demigods are praising, saying that is what you are actually showing everybody in Krishna Avataram, that you don't have to do a lot of things. It's just pure devotion and love. With that, you can even offer him the food that you are eating, right? Even after you do echil, after you have tasted it, you can share that food. Krishna is not going to feel offended by that, right? So that's what all these gods are praising Krishna, saying, with this, O Guru, please eradicate my ailments also. Sukhashanam tviha tava gopa mandale, makhashanat priyamiva deva mandale iti stutas tridashavarair jagatpate, marutpuri nilaya gatat prapahimam. Sukhasanam tvihatava gopa mandale makhashanat priyamiva deva mandale iti stutastridashavarai jagatpate marutpuri nilaya gadat prapahimam.
Shukashanam dvihadava kopa mandale mahashanat priyamiva deva mandale idistudastridashavarai jagatpate marutpuri nilaya kadat prabahimam.
No, second line, first word, makhashanat.
Makha.
Yeah, a castle,
Okay.
makhashanat.
Makashanat.
Yeah.
शुकाशनं त्विह तव गोपमण्डले मकाशनात् प्रियमिव देवमण्डले इति स्तुतस्ति दशवरै जगत्पते मरुत्पुरी निलयगदात् प्रपाहि माम्.
Krishnaya Parabrahmane Namaha. Okay, we'll switch. Sita Lakshmi, you can be a student, and Ravi, you can be a student. So Dashakam 52 is a continuation of that. This Brahma Krita Vatsapahara Varnanam. So this is the stealing of the calves and boys by Brahma. One of my most favorite Dashakams. There are a lot of beautiful Dashakams, but this one is just absolutely fantastic. The way it is written in Bhagavatam, the way they explain this. So stanza 1. अन्यावतारनिकरेष्वनिरीक्षितं ते भूमातिरेकमभिवीक्ष्य तदाघमोक्षे ब्रह्मा परीक्षितुमनास परोक्षभावं निह्येत वत्सकगणान् प्रवितत्य मायाम्. So like we said, the last one. So Krishna is now just sitting there enjoying that happy meal with all his friends. He's sharing the food eaten by his friends and all of these things. Now Brahma is looking at it, right? And he says he got rid of Aghasura in just a simple way without having any effort. Now, No, Brahma knows. Of course, Krishna is one of the incarnations, right, of Narayana. He, of course, knows that. But he doesn't know to the extent of the power that this incarnation holds. Because at the end of the day, he's seeing this incarnation hanging out with these Gopa boys, sharing the food that the Gopa boys are eating, and just being like a normal cowherd, right? Because Rama was is a prince. So Krishna is just born in a cowherd family, doesn't go to school, doesn't do anything. So he's just a very lowly cowherd boy. So Brahma is saying, how much strength does this boy have? And sometimes, the illusion covers even Brahma. So he then decides to test Krishna, right? So when these boys all sit down, they're all having their lunch, the cows and all start grazing somewhere, drinking water and going and grazing. So the first thing that Brahma does is, with his power, he actually makes those cows disappear from there. Essentially, he makes those cows invisible or takes the cow, doesn't matter. The cows, all the calves, essentially, they all disappear from there. Now, the beauty of this is, and I'll tell it at the end also, is this story that what happened in Aghasura. Like I said, Krishna was 5 years old when that Aghasura incident happens. In Bhagavatam, it first starts off, Sukha Brahman starts off by saying that the Gopa boys tell this to their parents when they are 6 years old, as if it happened yesterday or that day. Okay? So, Parikshit, how is it possible? It happened when Krishna was 5 years old. Why did they wait 1 year to tell their parents, right, the story as if it is happening that day? So that's what we want to see in this, right? So anyway, first Brahma makes the calves invisible, or steals away the calves from that place there. Anyavatara Nikareshwa Nirikshitamte. So he says Anya Avatar. In all these other avatars, I have seen Narayana play various roles. Matsya Avataram, Kurma Avataram, Narasimha Avataram. I have seen the power. But in this, he's coming like a small boy and he's hanging out with all these gopas. So really how strong he is, right? So he's having the doubt in his mind. Nirikshitamte, comma. Bhumatirekam, just breaking at that ma. Bhumatirekam abhivikshya tadhaga mokshe. Brahma parikshitu manaha, put is manas, sa paroksha bhavam, comma, ninyeta vatsaka ganan pravitatya mayam. Anya,
last line scripts one more time solungo.
Ninyeta vatsaka ganan pravitatya mayam. Anyavatara-nikareshva-niरीक्षितं te bhumatirekam-abhivikshya tadagha-mokshe brahma parikshitu-manasa-paroksha-bhavam ninhyeta-vatsaka-ganan pravitatya-mayam.
अन्यावतारनिकरेष्वनिरीक्षितं ते भूमातिरेकम् अभिवीक्ष्य तदाघमोक्षे ब्रह्मापुरीक्षितुमनः सपरोक्षभावं निन्येथ वत्सकगणान् प्रवितत्य मायाम्.
The third line, Sitalakshmi, is parikshitu.
Oh, okay. परीक्षितुमना सरि. अन्यावतारनिकरेष्वनिरीक्षितं ते भूमातिरेकमभिवीक्ष्य तदाघमोक्षे ब्रह्मा परीक्षितुमनः सपरोक्षभावं निन्येथ वत्सकगणान् प्रवितत्य मायाम्.
अन्यावतारनिकरेष्वनिरीक्षितं ते भूमातिरेकम् अभिवीक्ष्य तदागमोक्षे ब्रह्मा परीक्षितुमनः सपरोक्षभावं निन्येत वत्सगणान् प्रविदत्य मायाम्. अन्यावतारनिकरेष्वनिरीक्षितं ते भूमातिरेकम् अभिवीक्ष्य तदागमोक्षे ब्रह्मा परीक्षितुमनः सपरोक्षभावं निन्येत वत्सगणान् प्रविदत्य मायाम्.
Also two. Vatsana vikshya vivashe pashupotkare-tan anetu kama iva dhatru matanuvarti tvam sami bhukta kabalo gatavam stadhani bhuktam stirodita saroja bhavah kumaran. So when this calf suddenly disappeared, the boys are all beginning to worry, saying, oh, what is happening? But Krishna says, hold on. You all are in the middle of your eating lunch. I don't want you to worry about the calves. I will go and search for the calves. You all finish eating your lunch. You are my best friends, right? So I will go look for the calves. So with then use Sami Bhukta. Sami Bhukta means half eaten. So you have this ball of a half eaten curd rice in your hand. And I'm saying this explicitly because it's going to come back again. So he's holding this half eaten curd rice in his hand, and Krishna is walking out, going and looking for where these calves went. Now, Krishna, of course, knows Brahma has made these calves disappear, but he's also going because he wants to see what else Brahma wants to do. So that Saroja Bhava, the one who was born from the lotus, which is Brahma, he says, okay, good, Krishna is gone from that place. Let me also make these boys invisible because the Gopa boys are now isolated, right? So I will also steal the boys or also make the boys invisible. With that, Brahma also steals all the Gopa boys and makes them invisible or disappear from that place. Vatsana vikshya vivashe pashupotkare tan, put a in at the end of that line, comma. Next line, the na becomes a. Anetu kama iva dhatru matanuvarti tvam sami bhukta kabalo gatavams tadanim, comma, bhuktams tirodhita saroja bhavah, put a ih, saroja bhavah kumaran.
Rajeshji, the second line, does it start with anetu or anetu?
Anetu kama. Vatsana vikshya vivashe pashupotkare tan anetu kama iva dhatru matanuvarti tvam sami bhukta kabalo gatavam stadani bhuktam stirodhita saroja bhavah kumaran.
वत्सानुवीक्ष्य विवशे पशुपोत्करे तान् आनेतु काम इव धातृमतानुवर्ती त्वं स्वामि भुक्तकवलो गतवांस्तदानीं भुक्तांस्तिरोदितसरोजभवः कुमारान् वत्सानवीक्ष्य विवशे पशुपोत्करे तान् आनेतु काम इव धातृमतानुवर्ती त्वं स्वामि भुक्तकवलो गतवांस्तदानीं भुक्तांस्तिरोदितसरोजभवः कुमारान्.
Third line, first the Sami.
Oh,
Sami
Bhukta.
Yeah.
वत्सान वीक्ष्य विवसे पशुपोत्करेदान् आनेतु काम इव दातृमदानुवर्ति ध्वंसामि भुक्तकवलो गतवांस्तदानीं भुक्तां स्थिरोदितसरोजभवः कुमारान्. वक्सान वीक्ष्य विवसे पशुपोत्करेदान् आनेतु काम इव दातृमदानुवर्ति ध्वंसामि भुक्तकवलो गतवांस्तदानीं भुक्तां स्थिरोदितसरोजभवः कुमारान्.
That's the three. वत्साहितस्तदनुगोपगणायितस्त्वं शिक्यादिभाण्डमुरली गबलादिरूपः प्राग्वद्विहृत्य विपिनेषु चिराय सायं त्वं माययात बहुधा व्रजमाययाथ. So now you have to imagine the situation. The calves are all disappeared. The boys are all gone. So what will Krishna do right now? He can always try to show his full power by making all of these things appear if he wished, right? But he doesn't want to do that. He says, okay, let me just play it out and see how things happen here. Now, second, he can't go back home. Because if he goes back home, then everybody is going to say, what happened? Where are the boys? Where are the calves? And he can't say Brahma came and stole all these things away, right? Nobody's going to believe that. So he says, okay, let me now try to show my power to Brahma also here. So what Krishna does is, he becomes everything that was there, which means he needs to know exactly how many cowherd boys were there, how many calves are there. Each Gopa boy is different. One is fat, one is thin, one has a particular type of hand, one might have 6 fingers. So he has to become every single of the Gopa boys. Each of them has Shikyadi Bhandam. Each of them has a flute. Each of them has a cane. Each of them has a horn. They might have decorated it differently. He has to become those flute and the horn and the sticks exactly in the way each of the Gopa boys are. They all have got food. Each of them has got different food. One puliodare or lemon rice, curd rice, whatever. He has to become that because not all the kids eat their lunch fully. So the parents know that I put on like karvapla, you put it in there, that's going to come back. So he has to become that in that lunch box. Because if that is not there, then the mother is going to get suspicious, right? As to why this boy has eaten everything today. So he has to become everything exactly like how things have become. So the dresses, the ornaments, and this thing, including the calves. So with that, he becomes everything, saying, I am that, like they say, Sarvam Jagat Vishnu Mayam. I am that Vishnu who is all pervading in every subatomic particle. So which means everything that was there is Vishnu. So he then proves that here to Brahma and to everybody, saying, I am that everything. You can make this, a tiffin box or a murali disappear, a flute disappear, but I am literally that. So I can take that shape or form that I want, and then he becomes all of those right now. And it will go for more, but this stanza. Vatsayitas tadanu gopa ganayitas tvam, comma, Shikyadi Bhanda Murali Gavaladi Rupaha Pragvat Vihritya Vipineshu Chiraya Sayam, comma, Tvam Mayayata Bahudha Brajamaya Yatha. So we'll just do one time, otherwise we will run out of time on this. वत्साहितस्तदनुगोपगणायितस्त्वं शिक्यादिभाण्डमुरलीगवलादिरूपः प्राग्वद्विहृत्य विपिनेषु चिराह्य सायं त्वं माययात बहुधा व्रजमाययाथ.
वत्सायितस्तदनु गोपगणायितस्त्वं शिक्यादिभाण्डमुरलीगवलादिरूपः प्राग्वद्विहृत्य विपनेषु चिराय सायं त्वं माययाथ बहुधा व्रजमाययाथ.
Vipineshu.
Oh, vipineshu.
Yeah.
Enga?
Second word.
Oh, third.
Okay. I think you said Vipaneshu. It's Vipineshu.
Okay, thanks.
वत्सायिदस्तदनुगोपगणायिदस्त्वं शिक्यादिपाण्डमुरलीकवलादिरूपः प्राग्वद्विहृत्य विपिनेषु चिराय सायं द्वं माययात बहुधा व्रजमाययात.
त्वामेव शिक्यगवलादिमयं दधानो भूयस्त्वमेव पशुवत्सकबालरूपः गोरूपिणीभिरपि गोपवधूमहीभिः आसादितोऽसि जननीभिरति प्रहर्षात्. So you can't just go back also, right? Because the boys go back only at a certain time. So Krishna essentially becomes all those things and he has to play with all those boys. And the boys have to go graze the calves, else the calves are going to be hungry. So with that, each of the boys continue to graze the calves exactly like how they used to do it. And then they spend the whole day playing there, grazing the calves and all of that. Krishna, he said, you are the one who's doing all of these things. And then they all now return back home. Now, when you return back home, they all, like we said, discussed in the previous Dasakams also, they all play their flute, when they're coming back. So now everybody cannot play the same tune. Then the mothers will get suspicious because each boy plays different types, right? So you then end up playing exactly like how each of the boys play their flute. So their mothers immediately recognize, oh, that's my son coming because I can hear from that flute voice. Not only the boys, but even the cows, the calves move when they come back, right? So there the calves also talk to their mothers in a certain way. So even the mothers of the calves cannot get suspicious that this is not my calf. So you are also moving the same way that the small calves do. So with that, when the mothers and the cows are receiving their kids back, they have absolutely no doubt that this is their own child who has actually come back on their own calf, which has actually come back right now. So, Twameva Shikya Gabaladi Mayam Dhadano, Huyas Twameva Pashu Vatsaka Bala Rupaha Go Rupini Bhirapi Gopa Vadhumayi Bihi. So put a Visargan comma, end of that line. Vadhumayi Bihi, comma. Last line, Ra becomes A. Asaditosi Janani Bhirati. That's one word. Janani Bhirati Praharshat.
Rajeshji, on the first line, last word, Dadha, Noah.
If you have dadanaha, just change it to dadano. Some books might have dadanaha.
Thank you.
त्वामेव शिक्य गवलादिमयं दधानो भूयस्त्वमेव पशुवत्सकबालरूपः गोरूपिणीभिरपि गोपवधूमयीभिः आसादितोऽसि जननीभिरति प्रहर्षात्
त्वामेव शिक्य गवलादिमयं दधानो भूयस्त्वमेव पशुवत्सकबालरूपः गोरूपिणीभिरपि गोपवधूमयीभिः आसादितोऽसि जननीभिरतिप्रहर्षात् 2 times,
One. त्वामेव शिक्य कवलादिमयं ददानु भूयस्त्वमेव पशुवत्सकपालरूपः गोरूपिणीभिरपि गोपवधूमयीभिः आसादितोऽसि जननीभिरति प्रहर्षात्.
That's okay. जीवं हि कञ्चिदभिमानवशात् स्वकीयं मत्वा तनूज इति रागभरं वहन्त्यः आत्मानमेव तु भवन्तमवाप्य सूनुं प्रीतिं ययुर्न कियतीं वनिताश्च गावः. This is everybody, every single person in this world, like I've mentioned before, we all have an abhimanam of I and my. If something doesn't connect to us, it is not important to us, right? Which means, like when there are 10 different children, we always like our child the most. No matter whether they're good or bad, we always like our child the most. That is universal notion, right? Now, in the case of Gopikas, like we said, is they always had an extra preference for Krishna compared to even their own child, because Krishna is supreme bliss who was incarnated. How can you not fall more in love with him, right? So Krishna was always one level above their child, then it was their child, then it is all the other Gopa boys, right, who are actually there. Now all of these Gopa boys are Krishna, right? So which means that suddenly these parents are beginning to feel that I like everybody's children also equally more, right? So I don't have a differentiation between my child and someone else's child, because everybody's child is Krishna. It's the same person. So they're beginning to see Krishna in everybody right now. So they're now loving everybody equally. And the parents are beginning to wonder, I don't know how, like suddenly I like everybody's kids also now, right? And all this, and that's what they're, same thing is happening with the cows. The cows knows which one is its calf. It gives preference to its calf, right, for drinking the milk. Now the cow seems to be liking all the calves. So there's no restriction. Any calf can go drink milk from any cow because they don't have any restriction, because it is seeing Krishna in everybody. So this is the experience that Krishna is giving those gopikas and the cows there, to say that I am in all of them, except that we don't realize it. They are now experiencing that. Jivam hi kanchid abhimana, if you want to break it, that da kanchid abhimana vashat swakiyam,
Rajesh, kanchitava kinchitava.
kanchid.
Okay.
Kanchid abhimana. Kanchid abhimana vashat swakiyam, matva tanuja iti ragabharam vahantyah atmanameva tu bhavantam avapya, breaking at that ma, bhavantam avapya sunum, प्रीतिम ययुर्न कियतीम वनिताश्च गावः. जीवं हि कञ्चिदभिमानवशात् स्वकीयं मत्वा तनूज इति रागभरं वहन्त्यः आत्मानमेव तु भवन्तमवाप्य सूनुं प्रीतिं ययुर्न कियतीं वनिताश्च गावः.
जीवं हि कञ्चिदभिमानवशात् स्वकीयं मत्वा तनूज इति रागभरं वहन्त्यः आत्मानमेव तु भवन्तमवाप्य सूनुं प्रीतिं युयुर्न कियतीं वनिताश्च गावः.
जीवं हि किञ्चित् अभिमानवशात् स्वकीयं मत्वा तनूज इति रागपरं वहन्त्यः आत्मानमेव तु भवन्तम् अवाप्य सूनुं प्रीतिं युयुर्न कियतीं वनिताश्च गावः.
First line ready? Kanchid abhimana. First line.
Oh, kanchit. Oh, sorry.
இல்லைன்னா கீ தான் போட்டிருக்கு.
Okay. Yeah, you can just change it to ka. Kanchit
Jeevam
abhimana.
Jeevam hi kanchit abhimana.
Stanza 6. Evam pratikshana vijrumbhita harsha bhara nishesha gopagana lalita bhuri murtim tvam agrajopi babude kila vatsarante brahmatmanorapi mahan yuvayor visheshaha. So, now this continues, right? This goes on for 1 year. Nobody is able to tell the difference. They are beginning to see that they just like everybody seems to love everybody. You know, the gopikas love all these boys, the cows love all the calves which are actually there. Now, there's only one person who did not change, right? That is Balarama. If you remember, Balarama did not go that day to meet Agasura on the 51st Dasakam, right? So Balarama is noticing this thing, right? Saying that I'm seeing something is odd, right? This doesn't work like this. Something is actually odd. Now, not in Narayaneeyam, in Bhagavatam, they mention two incidents which actually happen, which makes Balarama really question it. The first thing he notices, 1 year has passed, the cows now have new calves, and when the cows come back from grazing, the first preference of giving the milk for the cows is always to its own calf. But he's noticing that the new calves who are born, Krishna has not taken that form, right? Because he's the form of the calf number one. These are now calf number two that has been born to the cow. The cow prefers the calf number one, which is an older calf, to its younger calf. He says that never happens. A cow always gives preference to the newborn calf first to give milk, but it seems to be giving preference to the older calf, right? That never happens. It is very unusual. Second thing, the boys, they just one day they don't let the calves graze. Krishna, who's the boy itself here, he doesn't let the calves graze, but the fathers don't get upset at the boys. In fact, they're actually embracing the boys even after they've committed this mistake. So Balarama is beginning to feel suspicious, saying something is actually gone wrong here, right? It cannot be. And here, Bhattacharya specifically says, although you both are incarnations of the same Narayana, right? You are special of Krishna because Krishna's to Bhagavan Swayam. You are the full incarnation. Whereas Balarama is not a full incarnation, right? So there's different potency in terms of the incarnation, because of which even Balarama for 1 year could not find out the difference. Then Balarama goes and talks to Krishna, and then Krishna tells him the story of saying that, yes, it is me who is actually in there, because Balarama comes to the realization, but only after 1 year. Evam pratikshana bijrumbhita harshabhara, put a plus, nishesha gopagana lalita dhuri murtim. So those two lines together. Tvam agrajopi. Agraja is elder. Tvam agrajopi bhubude kila vatsarante, comma, brahmatmanorapi mahan yuvayor visheshaha. एवं प्रतिक्षण विजृंभित हर्ष भार निशेष गोपगण लालित भूरि मूर्तिम त्वामग्रजोऽपि बुबुधे किल वत्सरान्ते ब्रह्मात्मनोरपि महान् युवयोर्विशेषः.
एवं प्रतीक्षणविजृम्भितहर्षभारनिःशेषगोपगणलालितभूरिमूर्तिं त्वामग्रजोऽपि बुबुधे किल वत्सरान्ते ब्रह्मात्मनोरपि महान् युवयोर्विशेषः.
एवं प्रदीक्षण विजृंभित हर्षभार निःशेष गोप गणलालित भूरिमूर्तिम् द्वामग्रजो बुबुधे किल वत्सरान्ते ब्रह्मात्मनोरपि महान् युवयोर्विशेषः.
That's 7. वर्षावधौ नवपुरातनवत्सपालान् दृष्ट्वा विवेकमसृणे द्रुहिणे विमूढे प्रादीदृशः प्रतिनवान् मकुटाङ्गदादिभूषांश् चतुर्भुजयुजः सजलाम्बुधावान्. So I'm going to say 7 and 8 meaning together. So 1 year has passed right now. But for Brahma, it is just a fraction of a second, or even whatever small amount of time for Brahma, right? Just an instant or less than an instant. So Brahma now suddenly he's noticing that I have all these boys and calves with me. But in that same place where he picked up those boys and calves, right, 1 year back after the Aghasura incident, he's seeing the boys and the calves there grazing as always, right there. So he's now getting confused. Which one is real? Is the one I'm having real, or is the one that I'm seeing in Vrindavan, is that real? Right? So with this, Brahma now is getting very confusing. How did this even happen? Who are these people? Where did they come from? Right? So he's not able to distinguish. So this is when now Krishna decides to show Brahma the answer to the question. Right? So what he says is, he then shows that all, so this is, you have to imagine that scenario, right? They are in that place grazing, the boys are there, the calves are there, banks of Yamuna. So Brahma suddenly sees that all these boys, all these calves become Krishna, become like Krishna, which means they all are looking same. They all are having the dark gray, black color. They all are wearing pitambaram. They all are having the, peacock feather on their head. They all have the same type of flute. Everybody is becoming exactly the same, right? And then Krishna, then next stanza, he talks about how, or even in this, he then shows Brahma first the Chaturbhujam form. So they all have four hands. All these boys, all these calves have four hands now. They're having the Shankam, Chakram, Gadam, Padmam in their hands. They all have the Kaustuba necklace. They all have the Vanamali. They're all wearing the flowers. And everybody looks exactly the same. So Brahma is now beginning to wonder who is who here. I thought they were all different boys and different calves. Everybody looks the same, right? And then Brahma is really beginning to get confused here. So, Varshavadhau Nava Puratana Vatsapalan, Drishtva Vivekam Asrune Druhine Vimudhe Pradidrishaha, put a F, Pradidrishah Pratinavan Makutangadadi, put a plus, Makutangadadi Bhushamsh Chatur Bhuja Yujaha, put a is, Chatur Bhuja Yujas Sajalambudabhan. So they all have four hands. They all have the same type of necklace. They all wear the same ornaments, and everybody is looking exactly the same. Varsha vadhau nava puratana vatsapalan drishtva vivekamasrune druhine vimudhe pradidrishah pratinavan makutangadade pushams chaturbhuja yujas sajalam budaban.
वर्षावधौ नवपुरातनवत्सपालान् दृष्ट्वा विवेकमसृणे द्रुहिणे विमूढे प्रादीदृशः प्रतिनवान् मकुटाङ्गदादिभूषांश्चतुर्भुजयुजः सचलाम्बुदाभान्
वर्षावधौ नवपुरातनवत्सबालान् दृष्ट्वा विवेकम् असृणे दृहिणे विमूढे प्रादीदृशः प्रतिनवान् मकुडाङ्गदादि पूषां चतुर्भुज युजः सजलाम्बुदाभान्.
That's it. Pratyekamev kamala parilalitankan bhogindra bhogashayana nayana bhiraman ni lila nimilita drishasanakadi yogi vyase vitan kamala bhur bhavato dadarsha. So now beautifully, each of them who were the four-handed Krishna, they all disappear. And then Brahma is seeing what he saw in Dashakam 7 when he saw Vaikuntham. You remember that Kalam, Bodha, Kalaya, Komala, Ruchi, Chakrena, Chakram, Disham. He's seeing Lord Narayana lying on Adishesha with, Nanda, Sunanda, who are his attendants around him, Lakshmi Devi there with Adishesha there. So whatever he had witnessed on his day one when he was doing the tapas in Vaikuntham, he is now seeing that all these boys, all these calves, right, have all become exactly like that, right? So with that, Brahma is now getting even more getting stunned with what he's actually seeing here. Pratyekameva. So every single person who is there. Pratyekameva Kamala Parilalitangan, Bhogindra Bhoga Shayanan Nayanabhiraman Leela Nimilita Drishaha, put a is Drishas Sanakadi Yogi, put a plus, Vyase Vitan Kamalabhur Bhavato Dadarsha. So you're seeing Bhagavan is in a yoga nidra, he has his eyes closed, and all this Sanaka, all the rishis are surrounding him, Mahalakshmi is there, Adishesha is there, and then he's seeing that entire Narayana in that Shayanam pose. Pratyekamev Kamala Parilalitankan Bhogindra Bhoga Shayana Nayana Bhiraman लीलानिमीलितदृशः सनकादियोगिव्यासेऽभितान् कमलभूर्भवतो ददर्श.
प्रत्येकमेव कमला परिलालिताङ्गान् भोगीन्द्रभोगशयनान्नयनाभिरामान् नीलानिमीलितदृशः सनकादियोगिव्यासेवितान् कमलभूर्भवतो ददर्श.
प्रत्येकमेव कमला परिलालिताङ्गान् योगीन्द्रभोगशयनान् नयनाभिरामान् लीलानिमीलितदृशसनगादियोगी என்ன சொன்னேன்? लीला निमिलीदृशसनगादियोगि व्यासे विदान् कमलभूर्भवतो ददर्श.
Second line, first word is Bhogindra Bhoga.
Bhogi, okay, sir.
Answer 9. नारायणाकृतिमसङ्ख्यतमां निरीक्ष्य सर्वत्र सेवकमपि स्वमवेक्ष्य धाता मायानिमग्नहृदयो विमुमोह यावत् एको बभूवित तदा कमलार्धपाणिः. So as Brahma is seeing so many of these Narayanas there, right? And then he also is seeing, like, very similar to what happened to Yashoda, where Yashoda also saw all of this. Then Yashoda also saw herself in Krishna's mouth, right? Looking into Krishna's mouth, right? Same thing. Brahma is seeing all these Narayanas. He's seeing himself worshipping those Narayanas also. So he's able to see himself also in all of these things, right? So when all this is happening, and all of this happens really for a very, very small amount of time, right? So Brahma is then he's in a trance. He goes into a trance because he doesn't understand what is actually happening. Then suddenly his consciousness comes back, is revived. Then very similar to when we saw when Krishna did the Vishwarupa Swarupam to Yashoda, and then he suddenly became a boy and called out to Yashoda saying, "I'm hungry, I need milk." Right? So then Yashoda suddenly came out of the trance. Similarly, here, all of a sudden, everything disappears, and he's seeing that same Krishna only there, who's Kabalar Paniki, who's having that half-eaten ball of curd rice, wandering around looking for the calves and the boys. So wherever Brahma left, however we left it there, right? He's seeing that same Krishna back there. So that's when Brahma comes to the realization that, that this is the full incarnation, because you can know if it's a partial incarnation, you cannot do all of these things. So he shows that this Krishna is saying that every single thing that you're actually seeing there, which is that Narayana, I am that same. There's no difference between me and that Brahman, which is actually there. I am just taken a different cowherd boy's form, right? So with that, Brahma comes to that realization here. Narayana Kritim, so breaking at that ma, Kritim, Asankyatamam Nirikshya, Sarvatra Sevakamapi Swamavikshya Dhata Maya Nimagna Hridayo Vimumoha Yavat put it, next line Deko becomes Eko. Eko Bhabhuvita Tada Kabalardha Panihi. Like we said, Kabala is curd rice, Ardha half-eaten, Panihi in his hand. So you're seeing the same Krishna with a half-eaten curd rice in his hand.
Rajesh, one more time, last line split solungo.
Eko Bhabhuvita Tada Kabalardha Panihi. Narayana Kritimasankyatamam Nirikshya Sarvatra Sevakamapi Swamavikshya Dhata Maya Nimagna Hridayo Vimumoha Yavat Eko Bhabhuvita Tada Kabalardha Panihi.
नारायणाकृतिमसङ्ख्यतमां निरीक्ष्य सर्वत्र सेवकमपि स्वमवेक्ष्य धाता मायानिमग्नहृदयो विमुमोह यावत् एको बभूवित तदा कबलार्धपाणिः.
नारायणाकृतिम् असङ्ख्यतमां निरीक्ष्य सर्वत्र सेवकम् अभिस्वमेव क्षदाताम् माया निमग्न हृदयो विमुमोह यावत् एको बभूवित विदधदा कबलार्तपाणिः.
Second line, third word, Swamavekshya.
swamavekshya data.
Yeah. That's it. Nashyan made tadanu vishwapatim muhustvam natva chanutavati dhataradha mayate potai samam pramuditai pravishan niketam vatalayadhipa vibho paripahi roghat. So Nashyan made, so after his mother, after his pride, because he tried to see, let me see how far the potency of this incarnation is. So after that's been realized, and he realizes this is the full incarnation with the full potency. So Brahma realizes that, he surrenders that, he does a namaskaram, and then he's gone, he goes back, right? So that incident is over. Now all the boys, the calves have all come back. Now they all go back home. Now this is the original boys, original calves. As far as the boys are concerned, they just went for a picnic, and then they are now coming back. So that's why when they go back home, they all say, "Oh, you won't believe what happened today. We thought it was some big attraction. We all walked in. It ended up being a big snake." So the Aghasura incident, which happened 1 year back when they were 5, because 1 year has passed. So Krishna is now 6 years old. So that's how they're telling it as if it happened that day. Because for them, that entire 1 year memory is gone, because it was just a fraction of a second, because they were all with Brahma. So the time was completely different. And then they came back, and then they all returned back home safe. With that, Guru Arapa, please eradicate my ailments. Nashyan made tadanu vishwapatim muhustvam, natva cha nutavati dhatari dhama yate potaihi, put a is, potais samam pramuditaihi, put a F to join, pramuditaif pravishan niketam, vatalayadhipa vibho paripahi rogat. Nashyan made tadanu vishwapatim muhustvam natva chanutavati dhatari dhamayate potai samam pramuditai pravishan niketam vatalayadhipa vibho paripahi rogat.
नश्यन्मदे तदनु विश्वपतिं मुहुस्त्वां नत्वा च नूतवति धातरि धामयाते पोतैः समं प्रमुदितैः प्रविशन्निकेतं वातालयाधिपविभो परिपाहि रोगात्.
Nasyanmate tadanu vishwapadim muhustvam natva cha nutavadi tamayate podai samam pramudidai pravisanniketam vadalayadipa vibho paribahi rogat.
Shri Krishnaya Parabrahmane Namaha. Sandhanandhavabodhatmakamanupamitam kaladeshavadibhyam nirmuktam nityamuktam nigamashata sahasrena nirbhasyamanam aspashtam drishtamatre punarurupurushartatmakam brahmatattvam tattavadbhati sakshat gurupavanapure hanta bhagyam jananam कायेन वाचा मनसेन्द्रियैर्वा बुद्ध्यात्मना वा प्रकृते स्वभावात् करोमि यत् सकलं परस्मै नारायणायेति समर्पयामि. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Rajesh.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Rajesh.
Bye. Bye. Bye.